Hi, it's Lucy from budgeting and planning.co.uk, and I'm here with Donna from elevatefs.org, and we are here doing our 10-part mini-series all about mortgages, which of course can somewhat be the bane of our lives because they cost so much money, but it's really important to have all of our main questions answered. And this is the final one. This is part 10 of our 10-part series, and we're going to talk about kind of a two-pronged approach here really. We're going to talk about fixed rate or variable, and you know, how on earth do you make that decision, what the differences really are, and how does the base rate come into it? Because it can be, I understand the concept of base rate, but I don't really understand how that affects my mortgage. So I'll give you, for instance, I'm on a variable right now, and I've had, over the last sort of several months, I've had a text message from the lender to say to me, the Bank of England are having the conversation soon. If that base rate goes up, it's going to have an impact on your mortgage. You know, kind of be aware. Then sure enough, when they have put it up another 0.25%, I get that letter through the post saying, right, so your new mortgage repayments as of this date are going to be this much. So of course it always goes up. But yeah, can you explain a little bit about how one chooses between a fixed and a variable?
Yeah, so it's a burning question at the moment. Yeah. I guess ultimately it depends on your attitude to risk, or what kind of person you are. If you want to know what your budgets are every month, and you say, right, we're going to enter into this mortgage, and for the next, I don't know, 2, 3 or 5 years, I want to know how much I'm paying, and I want it to remain the same, you know, for that term. I want to know how much I've got to pay for budgeting purposes. Yeah. So that way, you know, you're probably more steered towards a fixed rate mortgage. That'd be more suited to you. But if you're a little bit more fluid, and if your attitude to risk is, actually, although the base rate at the moment I think is creeping up, and you know, the Monetary Policy Committee, the Bank of England, they meet every 6 weeks to review the base rate, and at that point they decide whether that's going to go up. It's not gone down so much at the moment. You know, whether to review that rate. So once the base rate, let's say they increase that, they decide to increase that. If you're on a variable rate, so there's a number of variable rates. So there's the lender's standard variable rate. If you take no action, you will automatically slip onto a lender's standard variable rate. Oh, okay. Okay. And that's not directly linked to the Bank of England base rate. So the base rate may increase, but that's the standard variable rate for that lender may not. Interesting. They might not pass that increase on to you. 9 times out of 10 they are, to be fair, but that's not directly linked. Now, you can get a discounted variable rate, so you can enter into another period, so a 2, 3 or 5 year period on a lender's discounted variable rate, which means it can be a couple of percentage lower than the Bank of England base rate. But again, that is directly linked to the Bank of England base rate. So when that fluctuates, that increases and decreases, that does have a direct impact on the monthly repayment.
Is that what would have been called a tracker?
Yeah, that can also be known as a tracker, or there's another tracker which is directly tracked by the Bank of England base rate. So there's lots of different types of variable rates. Some are directly linked to the Bank of England, and others aren't. But ultimately, because it is what it says on the tin, it's variable. It will go up and it will go down, and as we've seen over the last however many meetings, 11 meetings, we've had increase. We don't currently have a crystal ball and know when they're going to start reducing. It would be nice to know that there'll be one more increase and they'll start decreasing, but if you enter into, say, a 2-year variable rate, you know for 2 years it's going to be a little bit of a storm. There's no way of knowing. But if your budget allows and you think, you know, next two reviews it's going to be an increase, but then from there it's going to start dropping. If your attitude is of that nature, but you don't want to lock into a 2-year deal at a current rate of around about 4.9. Maybe the variable rate is the way to go.
So if you are locked into a fixed rate of 4.9, for example, and the base rate obviously drops, and therefore there are better mortgage deals to be had, can you change your mind? If you're part way through a fixed rate, can you change it?
You can do, but it will cost you to exit the mortgage you've already entered into, because essentially you've promised that lender you've entered into an agreement with them for the next 2 years to pay that 4.9 rate. You can exit that to switch onto a cheaper rate, but once you weigh up and factor in the early repayment charges, that, you know, any costs that you've saved there by switching is probably offset by the penalties you're going to pay to exit your existing deal. So It might look good, but you know, on paper, once you've factored everything in, it's probably best to stick where you are.
Yeah. It's just so much to it, isn't it? It's not easy doing this, which is what, of course, you need someone really fantastic that knows it all, who can obviously look at your personal situation and circumstances and help you make the right decision that's going to be best suited for you.
Absolutely, because it's all about your attitude to risk, your wants, needs and future plans, your thoughts and feelings on all this. So as an advisor myself, I like to get to know my client, look at, you know, what their situation is today, what their future plans are for the next 2 to 5 years, what their income looks like. Is there going to be any changes to that income that's going to affect them, you know, paying the mortgage, and ideally, you know, what's suited to them, a fixed rate or a variable.
Because this is the thing, is I talk about this, I write a lot of ebooks on my website, and it talks a lot about, you know, thinking ahead. Typically it's going to be a tractor going by. There's a lot to be said for thinking about what you want in life. It's very easy just to take every day, every month as it comes, and whatever. But actually, if you do think to yourself, if you don't have some semblance of an idea about what you want to be doing in the next sort of 3 to 5 years, it actually costs you money, because you might be literally just going along a path, whereas if you were going along more of a designed path that you've created, you're going to be able to get yourself some sort of better deal and better option for what your future holds. So you know, as much as I'm, you know, live for the moment, of course, but you've got to have some idea, I think, of where you want to be heading in the next sort of few years. Would you say? Yeah,
absolutely. My advice is always tailored, and it's got to be right for now and the future, for the next 2 to 5 years. And occasionally when I speak with clients, my questions lead them to think, well, actually, it's a great question. What do I want from the next 5 years? Well, we don't have a crystal balls, and things don't always go according to plan, but you know, are you going to move in the next 5 years? No, we've no plans to. Do you think you're going to need a bigger house in the next 5 years?
Yeah, starting a family, or want to change jobs, start your own business, you know, or retire, whatever.
But if you've absolutely no idea, you know, a 2-year deal, be it fixed or variable, gives you the flexibility to move and to change your plans without penalty. So if you're not really, you don't know what the next sort of 5, you know, long term, look at a 2-year deal. That gives you more flexibility. So
it's absolutely brilliant to know, isn't it? As with everything we talked about throughout this whole mini-series, options. And it is so vital that A, you've got a budget in place, so you know what you're playing with in the first place. B, you've got some semblance of an idea about where your life's heading, as you know, why you're buying your home or remortgaging, what you want out of it, where your life's headed, you know, part-time, full-time, it's just so much involved, isn't there? But I think when you're thinking about fixed versus variable, the bottom line on that really is your, what did you say about risk?
Attitude to risk.
Attitude to risk, I like that one. Great, thank you so much for being with me, Donna. I've learned absolutely loads in this little mini series, so hopefully you've enjoyed that. If you're just catching this one for the first time, there's 9 other ways to, why is there always a tractor going by? There's 9 other episodes. Please do have a look at those, and of course go straight to Donna's website. You can obviously contact her, and she'll pick up the phone and give you a ring. ElevateFS.org, and there's that mortgage calculator on there that you can use, and lots of other tips and resources on there too. She's brilliant, as you can tell, you know, so easy and friendly to talk to, so please do pick up the phone, and of course come through to me for all your budgeting needs. Budgetingandplanning.co.uk. Really enjoyed this mini series. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.